The Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
It is Wednesday, November 11th. We are the Fantasy Footballers, and we are back again with another show right in the middle of the week. Looking forward to week number 10. Somehow, doesn't it feel like just yesterday, Mike, you were just focusing on the draft and telling me how bad Devontae Freeman was.
And how good Amir Abdullah was going to be.
How good Amir Abdullah was going to be.
Those were good times.
Oh,
good
and
times.
now week 10, we're all grown up.
Oh, memories.
Yeah, well, here we are. How are you guys doing in your leagues, your big leagues?
Well, I'll go first.
No, that's what he just did.
Yeah, that I just said where I am, so I'll stay there for the rest of the year until championship.
Doing quite well in my two big leagues, including the one that I lost both Arian Foster and Le'Veon Bell.
Still taking care of business.
Danny Woodhead and Jeremy Langford got it done this week.
We all have children, and you know what? You know what it's like when you see a child experience something for the first time? Like, you can remember back to, like, the first time they got to have ice cream, or that's kind of how I feel about Jason in first place.
Yeah.
And he started rolling his eyes.
Yeah, I started rolling
in
your
the
eyes
beginning of my tail.
My
tail. And he's
the reign of terror between Andy and Mike. So if you're new to the show, some props to Andy and Mike in the sense that the last 3 years in a row in our league of record. It's an impossible feat. They have faced off against each other in the championship. I can assure you that will not happen this year. My roster's just too good.
Your roster is really, really good. You've got the Ingram, Lamar Miller, Frank Gore running back combo. You've got 4 good wide receivers with Jeffrey, Allen Robinson, Randall Cobb, and Mike Evans. Mm-hmm. You got the depth. You have Olsen, a top-tier tight end.
Cam, Eli, and Romo on my IR.
Although
and
you
Greg
have
Olsen,
you've not been able to start the right quarterback, but it hasn't mattered because you've already scored 9 million points every week. You didn't start Eli for his 54, and you didn't start Cam for his 42.
And then I started Eli over Cam the next week. Yeah.
That's that like chasing points ping pong ball where
I'm still putting up 150 with 50 on my bench, so I'm fine with that.
If you're in that situation in your league with those guys, the best way moving forward, and this is what Jason's actually doing, he's not actually chasing the points with Eli, is just looking fresh at the matchups each week and just saying, don't say Eli's going to get 54. Don't say that Cam's going to get 42. Just say, hey, who's the best guy to play in this matchup for this week? So we've got our mailbag show today. We're going to answer an Eddie Lacy ton of questions.
I know.
And we'll answer your questions heading into week 10. So if you got trade questions, we're going to answer start-sit questions, roster moves, those type of things. If you want to follow the show, there are so many ways you can do that. You can do it on Twitter at the FF Ballers. We're always on there posting new content, answering questions from the listeners. We love hanging out on Twitter. Mike is kind of the Twitter dude. I mean, we're all Twitter dudes, but Mike is like the biggest Twitter dude.
Yeah. If anyone out there knows.
Because he's so hip.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it did take him like 4 to 5 hours to learn how to use Snapchat, though.
I still have not mastered Snapchat.
I haven't really figured it out either. But I'm following people, like people in my family use it. And so I wake up every morning and I've got these various ridiculous videos waiting for me that they send to me. And then I have to figure out how to reply to them because you feel a very big obligation when someone sends you a video to reply to the video.
And I still don't know how the people sending us messages, which we appreciate them all. Sometimes there's some funny stuff that comes in. And I don't know if I'm supposed to reply. I don't know if this was like a group message. I don't know how it works, but we appreciate the Snapchats coming in.
There you go. So you can check us out. Also, if you don't know, you can watch the show on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is on there. We put the show up every single day. We also put up segments. If you only got a couple minutes to grab a segment, or maybe you're listening to the show and you missed some of the end of it, you can go onto YouTube, subscribe on YouTube so you see those segments coming through. And check us out on thefantasyfootballers.com. We're always working to make the website better. But the big thing, people go there, they check out the rankings every week. We got our rankings up there so you know who to start, who to sit based on how we're projecting the week to go. And we're on Facebook as well, and obviously on iTunes. We appreciate your subscriptions to the podcast and the reviews on there. That's why we do the show. So, you guys excited about Week 10?
Yes. Mike made a move to the mic like he was going to talk and then just shut his mouth.
What do you guys think? Is there a team? Let me ask you this beforehand. I got a quick question for you, actually. 2 questions. First one is kind of NFL. Is there a team that's really surprised you this year? I mean, we're more than halfway through the season. At this point, the most surprising or exciting team to you right now is...
Well, those are different questions, but the most
surprising team.
To me, it's Carolina. I thought that they had a great D, but they were so decimated on offense. I did not expect them to be at this point undefeated and looking like with their future schedule, they're going to have a bye. I would have never expected.
Okay. Mike, do you have a pick?
The Raiders.
That's what I was going to say.
The Raiders, man.
Yeah. Partially because I just want them to do well, and partially because they're kind of in every game. They can beat anybody.
Agree. We sympathize with the struggles of the Raiders as Cardinal fans, and it took me a while to buy in, but I'm in. I'm in with the Raiders.
I guess if you go the inverse type of surprise, you might say the Cowboys. But it's not one of those things where you're surprised that they performed so bad on their own. It was more injury.
When you lose
the Ravens, I mean the Ravens are having a terrible
they're
year.
very surprising. But the Cowboys, you lose an elite quarterback and a top tier wide receiver. I mean, what can you expect?
All right, quick question for the day, fantasy wise, guys. Who would you rather have rest of season, Jimmy Graham or Jordan Reed?
Ooh,
Rule 86.
Rule 86.
Of fantasy football, I'm gonna stick with Jordan Reed.
So the argument for Jimmy Graham might be
he's not gonna get injured as much or as often. But the reality is, if Jordan Reed gets injured, he's just as likely, in my opinion, to get injured in the week as he is on Sunday. And so I feel like when he's playing, he's going to put up points. He's going to be productive. He's not going to give you the every other game bad game you're going to get from Jimmy Graham, which means you play him and you succeed. And then when he gets injured, you find another option, which could be just as good as some of Jimmy Graham's down weeks.
Yeah.
Jordan Reed is just too good. He's
target-wise.
I feel like Jordan Reed's life is like the movie Final Destination. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I remember it.
Where it's just death is always out to get him. Injury is always out to get Jordan Reed, no matter what he does. Even if he was living in a bubble.
Yeah, there are certain players who are in that category.
Yeah, stay safe, Jordan Reed. We love you.
All right. We want to take a moment from our sponsors like we do on the show. Our sponsors are what help us keep the show going every single day of the week. They help us keep pumping out that fantasy football information. So we want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's show, today's podcast, Avant. Avant is a company that gets it. Sometimes honest, hardworking people need a little extra cash to get things done, and Avant provides access to personal loans from $1,000 to $35,000 without ever having to step into a bank. You simply go to avantoffer.com and check your competitive rate, and checking will not affect your FICO score in any way. The application takes only a moment, and funds could be in your account as soon as tomorrow. And Avant will give you a $50 Amazon.com gift card after you make your first payment on time. For this offer and to check your rate risk-free, go to Avant.com and enter promo code BALLERS. That's AVANT offer.com, promo code BALLERS. Avantoffer.com, promo code BALLERS. Loans are made by WebBank. Funds are generally deposited via ACH for delivery next business day if approved by 4:30 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. FICO is a registered trademark of Fair Isaac Corporation, and Amazon is not a sponsor of this promotion. Other restrictions apply. Check out the website for details on that.
And we also want to thank our sponsor, Topps. They have the Topps Huddle app. For me, I loved trading cards, collecting cards. I say that past tense. I am still a gigantic card collecting, playing type of guy. I have always loved it. And the Topps Huddle app has brought that into the digital age for sports fans, for NFL fans. Obviously, you're listening to this show. You love the NFL. You love the NFL players. Well, Huddle features officially licensed NFL digital cards. You can grow your collection. You get to open packs, over 300 million Topps digital packs have been open since 2012. That's every second somebody's ripping one open. But you don't just grow them that way. You can actually trade these with other people. So get your friends on the app, trade, get the players that you want, and you don't just collect them. You actually get to play them just like fantasy football. Based on who you've got, you put in your best 11 guys every week and what they do on the field, you get in the app. It's a fun time. We've had people write in and say, hey, thanks, I play this with my kids. It's a great time. So for football fans, especially fantasy football fans, this app is a must-have. Download it for free in the App Store or Google Play and get 10 free packs today. That's the Topps Huddle app.
All right, let's go ahead and get right into the mailbag.
Mailbag.
I got a question.
Yeah. I like it.
With the news that Pierre Thomas was waived. No, this is a legitimate question.
Shaun Draughn?
Yeah.
Shaun Draughn.
Shaun Draughn.
Man, that name is
We
not
need
easy.
We need a confirmation on that guy's name.
Shaun
It is.
Draughn.
Drone.
Shaun Draughn.
Drone?
I
I
believe
believe
it's
it's
Drone.
Shaun Draughn.
Shaun Draughn.
Shaun Draughn.
It should be Shaun Draughn, though. And I think their parents need to he's a grown-up now. So he should be able to.
but anyways-
Send in the drone.
Oh, no. No.
Yes.
We are not associated with
drones.
With drones.
Right. 'Cause those are so dangerous.
Do we pick him up? It seems like he would be locked and loaded as the running back with Carlos Hyde out.
Yeah, he should have been on our waiver show.
Because Pierre Thomas, when we had done the show, Thomas had not been waived yet.
Yeah, but Drone still had a good week.
Right.
And so that was just stupid. Really.
Yeah,
I mean, because I guess the expectation is Hyde will be back. There's a mishmash in the backfield, and the offense isn't very good. But, I mean, he's in consideration.
Okay. That's all I wanted
And Pierre
to check.
Thomas came in, and he was basically the spell Shaun Draughn.
Would you rather have Shaun Draughn or like a Chris Thompson, Alfred Morris? I
It
feel
depends
like
on your team and what you need.
Yeah, and maybe the matchup. But Drone is in that category of that guy that you can pick up and start if you need to start him for a week and you don't have good options.
So are you guys telling me that I should sign Shaun Draughn?
Yes.
Because I have Deion Lewis?
Yes, immediately.
Do you think I can start Deion Lewis still? If I wanted to?
Yes.
You can start him.
I'm going to put him and Arian in.
Yes.
And
I like
then I'm
it.
going to beat you.
It's like,
Anyways. And it's going to be the greatest moment of my life.
it's like pouring one out for your homies.
Yeah.
One more start.
Ugh.
One
Man.
more start for you.
All right. Let's hit the mailbag. Michael in Neptune, New Jersey.
Sounds far away.
Very far away. Who's the better start this week? Jameis Winston or Ryan Fitzpatrick?
I'm going to go with your start of the week here, Andy.
Hey,
and
hold
go
on. My stream of the week.
Oh, I apologize. You're
Thank you.
streaming.
Get your verbiage
candidate.
right.
Your streaming guy, I would go with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I believe he's got the better matchup. It's a Thursday night game, which I don't love, but the Bills are, even though they're known for being this great defensive Rex Ryan team, they're actually not. So I would go with him.
I'd stay with the Magic.
All right.
The
Yeah,
Fitzmagic.
I'm obviously going to go with Fitzpatrick on that one. For Michael. So Jordan in New York City.
New York City.
Who do I start in my flex spot for week number 10? Help him out. LeGarrette Blount, Michael Crabtree, or Devontae Adams.
So
And if you need those matchups, Blount is facing off against the Giants.
And Crabtree has the Vikings.
And the Packers are going up against the Lions, which is why I'm going to actually take Devontae Adams.
Really?
Yeah, I am. I don't like the matchup for Crabtree, even though I like Crabtree better than Adams. Maybe you'll go Blount, but I just think the Lions secondary is terrible, and I would love to have Aaron Rodgers throwing. I mean, he caught, 7 catches last game? Devontae Adams?
I'm going to go with Blount.
I'm going to go with Blount, too.
All right.
Or as he says, hashtag Blunt Force Trauma. I saw that on his Twitter.
How could he fit anything else if his hashtag is so long?
That was for game day, and I don't think it really worked well for Deion Lewis.
What was Lewis's hashtag?
No, I just mean like trauma. Blunt Force Trauma.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see where
I
you're
think
going.
he jinxed him. Yeah. All right. Alex
Or
Sarkis.
did he? LeGarrette Blount
Yeah, I know.
did what he needs to do.
Alex Sarkis in Massachusetts. Hey, guys, who would you rather have rest of season? Stefan Diggs, Sammy Watkins, or Allen Hurns?
Oh, man, those are 3 great guys to have rest of season. I'm going to
I have them in that order.
Really?
Yes. Diggs, Watkins, Hurns. With the caveat that obviously if Watkins is injured, I won't select him.
Yeah, that's the problem with Watkins is the injury concerns.
You saw the talent last week.
Yeah.
It's nice to roll a guy out that can put up a monster game.
And then the Monday report was, and Sammy Watkins is walking with a noticeable limp. Because that's what he does.
Yeah, I know. And let me just, for a minute, you guys think about it. I admitted this to you guys in the studio yesterday. I have a bit of a problem trusting wide receiver twos. And I say that would be Michael Crabtree, okay, where Cooper's the one. That would be Allen Hurns, where Allen Robinson's the one. That would be Eric Decker, where Brandon Marshall's the one. But I don't think that's the right way to go about it. It's just mentally, in fantasy football, I'm trying to outfit my team with highest potential, and I'm not trusting sometimes the Ryan Matthews of the world.
Yeah, and to clarify for the listeners, what you're saying here is not that you have a problem with that on purpose, but that you actually
that's a weakness for me.
Yeah, it's a weakness. You need to put a little bit more trust in the fact that wide receiver twos are viable fantasy options.
I feel like for every Allen Hurns success story, there is a Ruben Randall, okay? There is a situation where a guy is supposed to be that, and then, poof, he's gone. I mean, even Marvin Jones has been good, but he alternates weeks. And so, for me, I just feel like the two has the highest odds of being, pooping their pants. And there are guys this year that have not done that. Crabtree's done it every week. Hurns has done it every week. It's a challenge for me to trust those guys in my lineup.
Because the opposite thinking to that is the one always gets the best defender.
Absolutely.
So that it leaves the two open, and there's certain teams that are more susceptible to this, as we've seen. Looking at some schedule stuff here, Diggs, remainder schedule still has to play Green Bay, Seattle, and Arizona. And I know that Hurns has a
really
very
nice,
majestic closing. There's not a single matchup on Hurns' schedule left that I think is tough. San Diego, maybe, if they can get everybody healthy, but this season that's been just impossible for San Diego to do. But I'm going to go with it's tough to go with to pass on Watkins, but because of health, I would go with Hurns.
Yeah, I believe a couple days ago I had said Sammy Watkins I see as a wide receiver one. Since I said that, I've been thinking, man, he's just not healthy enough to actually be. I think if he's healthy and on the field,
he's Jordan Reed,
a weekly one, but he's just not healthy on the field, and so I'm going to pass on Watkins as well and take, as crazy as it is, just based on schedule, I think I do have to go Hurns. His schedule is unfathomably good.
Let me ask you this, because it walks us into this question to me. And you guys both said Hurns, I said Diggs. The Vikings are a winning team. They are 6-2. The Jacksonville Jaguars are very unlikely to be in the playoff mix. How does that affect these players towards the end of season? Because if you're tooth and nailing it, yes, they have some matchups that appear hard. But if they're hard matchups, that team is ambitious towards the playoffs. The other teams maybe are out of the playoff mix. We know very quickly that defenses can change, right? Where you have a week where 2 or 3 weeks goes by and all of a sudden, the Chargers' pasty doesn't look very good. So does that change your opinion on any guys' ends of season? Because I like guys on winning teams, and that's part of the motivation for Diggs.
And that's fair, but Minnesota is a running team, and Jacksonville is a throwing team. The Yeldon he's been okay. He's been pretty much solid the entire year, but that team will win because of Blake Bortles in the passing game, where Minnesota, the weather is just, I don't want to be the full weather guy, but it's going to get colder, and Adrian Peterson is the man who will take the Vikings to the playoffs if anybody's going to do it. So that steers me away from Diggs. I still like Diggs. So the funny thing about this conversation is all these are great options.
Yeah,
we're not saying any of these
them
are bad. It's just you have to get into the ticky-tack stuff of who do you prefer, and it's Hurns for me.
Yeah. Pat in Indiana wants to know, this is a must-win week.
Oh.
Half-point PPR.
Oh.
So must-win. Do you start Chris Ivory on Thursday night against Buffalo at home, or do you start Jonathan Stewart, who has been playing very well, and going up against the Titans I know my answer to this.
Jonathan
Because
Stewart.
I have them. Those are my 2 starters, by the way, in our league of
So
record.
you're playing them both, but I'm going to go with Jay Stu. The volume of the carries is going up. He's getting about 20 a game right now.
You know what's disappointing about Jonathan Stewart? And I'm going to actually lean Stewart this week as well. Jason, who do you lean?
Yeah, I do lean Stewart because of the short week for Chris Ivory and really for Nick Mangold, whether or not he can get out by Thursday. And the Bills, while they are not the best defense, they are pretty decent against the run. So bad matchup, short week, injury risks. I think you could have a very lousy game from Chris Ivory, and if this is a must-win week, you've got to get points out of that position.
Let me tell you what I'm disappointed about for Jonathan Stewart. You want to hear it? The number 4. Do you want to know what that number is?
I'm
What's
intrigued.
the number 4? The number 4 is the amount of receptions he's had since week 2.
Yes.
4. Let me tell you this number. 47.
That's the amount of receptions he
That's
had.
that's his career high receptions.
Yeah.
It's 47. He's been somebody who can handle the ball in the receiving game back when it was the D-Well days, but they do not involve him in that game at all. And so if he doesn't score, which is very often, he needs quantity. He is a Cedric Benson-esque type of runner where he needs quantity, and that's the only thing that's frustrating with him where, you could definitely say Ivory because Ivory could stink and get 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it's pretty close there. I lean Stewart because of the matchup. Ken in blank. So Ken is from somewhere. We just don't know where.
Or is he from anywhere?
Or everywhere.
Oh.
Get out of my head, Ken. Fun question. He wants to hear debated. Who'd you start this week, Jeremy Hill or Carlos Williams?
That's
a fun question.
Yeah.
That is an interesting question because with LaShawn McCoy and his shoulder injury, as of the taping of this, we have not gotten an update. But either way, let's say Shady McCoy plays. Carlos Williams will still be involved. Maybe he gets even more involved. Maybe he gets a couple more touches to rest McCoy's shoulder. And Jeremy Hill is a wild card, man. You have no idea. He's getting the 15 carries a week, but if he doesn't get in the end zone, you're probably going to be disappointed with his numbers. And the same could be said for Carlos Williams. So this is a game of touchdown chicken.
I agree, and I go Jeremy Hill.
Yeah, if it's a game of touchdown
Because
chicken.
Carlos Williams is playing the Jets in New York.
So I was going to say, it's a matchup, and Houston on Monday night I think, has more touchdowns being scored on them than the Jets do. So,
yeah, well, I believe the Jets have given them 2 rushing touchdowns all year. So,
okay.
So Jeremy Hill would be
Now,
my answer.
just to ruin the whole thing, if LaShawn McCoy is out, do you go Carlos Williams
Then you
against
go
the
Carlos.
Jets D?
Yeah, I still go Carlos Williams.
no, I wouldn't.
I do.
I mean, I was presuming on that question to make it a fair, intriguing question. I was presuming that LaShawn McCoy would be out, and I still think 2 touchdowns on the entire year. If you're playing touchdown chicken, I'm taking the matchup.
Now, the interesting thing is when Carlos Williams has played football,
He's been
the entire year, he's
He's-
been double digits.
He has scored every time.
Every game?
You
You are correct.
every time.
Every game. He had 3 rushing touchdowns first 3 games, then a passing touchdown, and then 2 touchdowns last week.
Yep.
But, man, that's a scary guy to play somehow because of the quantity of work. All right, Isaiah in Phoenix wants to know, Jason, do I start Kamar Aiken or
Wait, what? Oh, I thought Isaiah actually only asked Jason. I was going to be very offended. Continue.
Isaiah wants to know from Jason only, do I start Kamar Aiken or Travis Benjamin in my flex?
You start Kamar Aiken in your flex. There's question marks on the quarterback for Cleveland. It's going to be Josh McCown if he's healthy. He's not healthy. Is he practicing? Who knows? But what we do know is that Kamar Aiken is going to be the number 1 target for Joe Flacco. They've got a great matchup coming up. Why take the question marks? Go with the guy that you know is going to have the targets. I would definitely start Kamar Aiken.
I looked at this morning. Baltimore, for all their struggles, they really aren't the best team to start defenses against. It's not like defenses have scored a lot of points off of them. Because Flacco, while their offense has been meh, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And it was kind of interesting. They're just kind of –
They've been in every game. I mean, they're not if you look at the point spreads, the point differentials of – they're not as bad as their record says, which is what you want in a fantasy matchup. You want a team that is not just, okay, they've been bad on defense, you can throw it, you can score on them, but then they come back and score, and they stay in the game, and the points just flow.
What do they do?
They flow. They flow out of the football. That's
You sounded like a that was like a Frankenstein
a little
Like a
Halloween throwback.
vintage.
Yes, master. Petter in Norway.
Petter. Oh, bonjour.
Harry Petter. Do I play Antonio Andrews over Charkandrick West based on matchups?
Ooh, let's take a look at the matchups. Who do the Chiefs got? They got the Broncos. Ooh, that's gross. And the Titans have the Panthers. Ooh,
That's gross.
That's nasty. You got to go with. I'm going to go with Charkandrick.
Yeah, both matchups are bad. You go with the Charizard.
Yeah, volume is great.
I'm
for
having
him.
a super hard time deciding between them because I think the volume is actually about the same now with those guys.
Not pass catching.
Antonio Andrews has caught a few.
A few, but Charkandrick he's the man. I love him.
Oh man, how bold am I? I'm gonna go Char West.
Charizard, I
Yeah.
choose you.
I thought you were about to make a water bet.
I was-
and then you went.
I
and then
was
you went
pondering the
fully-
water bet, but it would have been with odds because
Look.
you guys both. I mean,
When I play fantasy, I want to be the very best, like no one ever was.
yeah, I got you. Barely, I got you. Nick in Brooklyn, New York. Who would you rather keep for the rest of the season? Jeremy Macklin or Allen Hurns?
Ooh,
Full point PPR. Give me Macklin.
Full point PPR. I would agree. I would go Macklin. He's got a higher floor baseline. You've seen plenty of games with Allen Hurns where he's got 2 or 3 balls and a touchdown, and his value comes from that. But with Macklin in a full point PPR, he's going to have more receptions on the year, higher, and his ceiling is still, he can put up a big game.
in the last 2 games that Jeremy Macklin has played, he has how many catches?
In the last how many games?
2.
It's not high.
6.
Yeah.
In 2 games.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Well, he was concussed in one of them.
No,
And
that's the 0. Well, when was he concussed?
he was
So that's
concussed
fair.
during that game, and then the next game he came out, they struggled a lot.
Yeah.
And they didn't need it. It was Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that game they had put away early. So
Yeah, before
it's
those,
still,
it was
I mean, it's fair
8
point.
receptions, 11 receptions, 8 receptions.
I would-
So-
I would go with
Anybody
Macklin.
want a rest of season bet?
No.
Okay.
I'm still going to go Macklin. I'm just pointing out that this is not a.
That's not as cut and dry.
Yes.
Dustin in Spokane, Washington. Who do you like best rest of season? Stevie Johnson, Jordan Matthews, or Devontae Adams? I got to go. Man, that is actually really tough.
yeah.
It's
That is tough.
Stevie for
That's
me.
what I was going to say because of the injuries that are just piling up. But what was his final line last night?
I don't
or
think
2 nights ago?
Stevie.
He got 9 or 10 targets. I'll look
It was,
up his.
I think it was like 7 for 48.
I'm going to go with Devontae Adams.
Oh, a bold choice.
Yeah.
Bold choice.
Yep.
I'm not sure that's going to work.
I feel
out
like
for
we
you.
should. Who do you like, Jay?
Honestly,
I'm just
I
curious
like,
if you like Jordan
I
Matthews.
like Jordan Matthews. I think
Yes,
Jordan
you
Matthews.
got it. Oh
Do we-
no!
Do we have it?
Well, Andy's making a face as if to say either something is very smelly on his side of the chair, or
Bermuda Triangle Water Bet.
All right.
So-
that was the very loud version.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix that, guys. Not everything's a perfect, well-oiled machine here at the Fantasy Footballers.
Unless you're talking about my physique.
All right, I've got it in the actual drop board now, so
All right,
that
good.
mistake can never happen.
But yeah,
again.
okay, so we're putting that on the board.
So
Yes, I am
rest of
taking
season-
Devontae Adams.
We gotta
Mike
put-
is taking Stevie Johnson, and Jason is taking Jordan Matthews. And
So-
spell that out on the draft board because I've been looking at these, and they're a little tough
Yeah,
to know exactly what's going on.
It's because Mike's been putting them in.
Yeah, because we forget a little bit what these bets
So
take
it's week,
place.
10 through 16? Or are we going 17?
No,
What do you mean?
17 is
Yeah, that's
that doesn't
garbage.
actually exist.
All right, so 10 through 16. Weeks 10
It's
through
rest
16.
of season.
Well,
Yeah,
I know, but
fantasy
we were
season.
saying
But
what,
the fantasy stats that go into ESPN include 17.
Fine, whatever.
So
I
we'd
don't-
have to
that's
go
fine
do
with
the
me.
math ourselves. Let's
I'll
just-
take 17. I'm
That's-
not scared.
we're going to have to do the math ourselves no matter what because we're going to have to
All
figure
right.
it out.
All right, so we've got a bet. By the way, how will we be paying out that bet?
We will be paying out that bet with our free app, The Wheel of Water.
Water.
And guys,
Oh my gosh.
we're watching these videos that people are sharing, and they are the delight of my life. Watching people have so much fun around the country, around the world. making their
I
bets.
am searching the hashtag Wheel of Water right
over
now
anything.
to see if there's any new videos.
I saw one
there are.
It was
12 hours ago.
Nice.
It was a bet between, I believe, a husband and wife.
Yes.
Over bear or bear, the spelling of which is
it wasn't even football?
No,
That's even better.
You can use this anywhere in life. It's like, what is it? Well, do you want to bet anything?
Well, here's the great thing about it is how many times a day, maybe per day, but per week, you're talking to someone, you want to bet?
Yeah.
And then nothing ever comes of this because no one wants to financially bet on something that is trivial and stupid.
Yeah.
But you can bet with embarrassment of watering.
And when you do, please use the hashtag Wheel of Water, one word. That way we can find
we want
it.
to see it.
We'll retweet them.
Kyle in Wisconsin. Would you rather have Matty Ice or Blake Bortles for the rest of the year?
Blake Bortles
Give me
by
that.
far.
Give me that Bort.
Mr. BB.
Board it up. Patrick in Vancouver,
Speaking
Canada.
You guys don't watch The Simpsons, so never mind. But we're all out of Bort license plates. That's for the Simpsons fans
Okay.
out there.
Where's the cricket button?
Someone laughed.
Where's the
Someone
cricket
laughed.
Twitter is going to erupt simultaneously.
I know, because when you say that, somebody does. Patrick in Vancouver, Canada.
Bonjour.
Wow, that was
I was too
that
busy
was
thinking.
weak.
I was thinking about Bort.
Yeah. Hey, guys, just wondering, who would you take rest of the season, Arizona defense or the Cincinnati defense? Schedule seems a little bit better for Cincy, but the Cardinals have been a better defense.
Yeah, I would go Cincy because of the schedule. I mean, when you're streaming defenses, the main thing that you look at is the matchups. I feel like that plays a bigger role than just the quality of the defense themselves. Now that matters, but both of these are good defenses.
I gotta check something out here because Arizona gets to. Why can I not find Arizona on here?
A-R-I.
It's actually under Cardinals. That's why I couldn't find it.
Send in the card.
The Cardinals get to play. Oh, Seattle is week 17. I was going to say a defensive matchup of the Cardinals versus Seattle is actually something that I want a part of. I mean, give me those Russell Wilson sacks.
So you're starting Arizona this week?
Yes.
Yeah. He has been. Their offensive line's been struggling.
Is
Struggling. All right, where am I here, guys? Sam in Connecticut. Do I start Amari Cooper or Randall Cobb this week?
Amari Cooper, as we talked about, takes on the Vikings, and the Packers are playing the Lions. And it looks like
Give me Cobb.
This is an easy question for me. Randall Cobb by a mile, just because I expect the Lions to
stink.
Yeah, to stink as they do, and Aaron Rodgers to show that, hey, relax, people. We can put up huge numbers. And the Vikings games this whole year, with the exception of week 1, have been low-scoring affairs. They're not, even if the Raiders are playing good and they're hitting on all cylinders, it's not a game where they're going to need to score 35.
They don't need to, but they're gonna. If the Raiders can score, they're going to score. But
if the Raiders can score, they're going to win that game.
That's very
because
true.
the Vikings offense seems pretty capped points-wise. All right.
I think I'm going to take Cooper. I'm going to take Cooper right here.
I'd water bet that.
I'd water the
You'd
bet.
water the bet out of that?
Yeah. Who wants it?
Let's go.
Water bet.
I've had enough doubting the Raiders. I'm all aboard.
All right, Guy. There's a guy with a question, and his name is Guy. Going forward and this week, is Drew Brees a better starting fantasy quarterback over Andy Dalton? That is a great question. I think yes.
Drew Brees plays Washington, correct?
This week,
That is,
I believe
yes,
you are
that is
correct.
correct. You got Drew Brees, man. Stay in those flames.
But he said rest of season.
Oh, I missed that part.
So I believe that Drew Brees will put up more points than Andy Dalton rest of season.
I would tend to agree with you.
And he has, I'll be honest, we kind of did what people do sometimes. We saw the struggles early and the loss of weapons and thought maybe that would be the end. But I do not believe it is the end. And he had 4 touchdowns last week, coming off a 7 the week before. I just think, I don't know.
They've definitely figured out how to use Ben Watson, which has helped that offense tremendously to use the tight end again.
That's really when it turned around.
I think Drew Brees is a fantastic quarterback to have the rest of the way, but I'm going to go Dalton, not because I don't believe in Drew Brees, but because
because I don't believe. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, okay, all right. Caught my own brain up to myself.
We're struggling.
But it's because Andy Dalton gives me no reason this entire year to believe he's not going to be a very, very consistent, high-producing quarterback. So they both are fine options, but I'm going to go with Dalton. I mean, even this last week in our scoring, 6 points, he had 30 points again. He's done that. He's had over 30 points 1, 2, 3, 4 times already
in our scoring.
Emil in Copenhagen, Denmark. Hi, fantasy footballer. Started my season 0-4 thanks to C.J. Anderson. Well, yes, that is. You can thank him. Send him a card. He said he doesn't care. Now I'm on a roll and have won 5 games in a row and would like to keep this going for as long as possible. So who do I start for my flex? Lamar Miller or Chris Ivory? And
Lamar
keep
Miller
in mind, Lamar Miller plays the Eagles this week, and Chris Ivory takes on the Jets. The Dolphins are on the road.
Wait, Chris Ivory takes on the Jets?
Wow. So you're talking about in practice.
Chris Ivory takes on the Bills. The Bills it is.
Miller's in Fuego. I'm sticking with him.
Yeah, I definitely would start Lamar.
You call
Miller.
him in Fuego because even with the off week, he had a bad week.
Yeah,
that was
still
that
scored.
Was New England. Yeah, and he did score. He wasn't crazy on fire, but he was double digits.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for me.
When 2 out of 3 weeks a guy's over 40 points or so, I'm gonna go with that's on fire.
Okay, that's fine. I have 40 points or so. I'll give you that. It was
a running
It was like
back.
30, but all right. Jim in Tuscaloosa, who is a better keeper, Lev Bell for a first rounder or Arian Foster for a third rounder?
Lev Bell.
Le'Veon Bell.
Lev Bell.
Although I am hearing he probably won't be ready for preseason.
Le'Veon
We'll
Bell.
see what happens. Yeah, because the amount of work that had to be done is pretty significant. So
on the MCL.
correct.
Yeah.
And for a first rounder, I don't know yet if that's good value. I mean, it's so early to tell. But don't just limit yourself to those 2 options. You might have a guy on your team that's more of a 5th, 6th round guy that has better potential this next year that I would rather keep.
That's true.
Both guys are recovering from injury, obviously. I think
that's a rule in their league. Like, you can only keep guys that are out for the year.
Season-long injuries.
Yeah.
So Steve Smith is in consideration. Jamal
There's a
Charles,
big list.
Deion Lewis. All right, last question here. Isaiah in Lovington, New Mexico. Tyler Eifert and Jordan Reed both have alternated 30-point weeks for me. Who should I start? Well, obviously the guy that scores 30. Start whoever's going to score 30.
Next question.
All right. Normally John Brown's in my flex, but I can bench him if need be. I think that I'm guessing you have to choose a tight end and a flex, and I don't think I would play them both over John Brown.
This is a tough one. Bengals at home against Texans and Washington at home against the Saints. Jordan Reed.
Yeah, you can't sit Tyler Eifert after a 3-touchdown game, though.
Honestly, I think you sit. I think this
Brown?
week you sit John Brown because both matchups are too juicy. You can't sit Tyler Eifert, and going up against New Orleans. I mean, Jordan Reed's gonna eat.
Yeah.
I agree. That's true. I think I'm with you guys.
There you go.
I think John Brown. The only thing, it's just John Brown's been targeted so much. You're probably right.
The rare double tight end side.
They're up in Seattle, right?
Yes.
All right, I'm with you. Eifert and Jordan Reed.
And I promise you will not sit the wrong one by doing that strategy.
That is true. That 100% of the time. I will say this. We appreciate you listening to the show today. And if you want to get connected with us, there are a lot of ways you can do that. The best way is to go on to jointhefoot.com and join our Foot Clan. The Foot Clan are all the listeners of the show throughout the season that have really made the show what it is. You guys are awesome, and we really appreciate your support. If you didn't know, we are not a part-time podcast. This is a full-time podcast, and I mean that all year round. We produce shows in the off-season and, well, we don't even like calling it the off-season because we don't really believe there is one. You're in dynasty leagues, keeper leagues, the NFL draft. You're preparing. The day the season ends, fantasy-wise, you're preparing for the next season.
We call it the weeks where games are on. Everyone's on bye.
Yeah, the extended bye. There you go. So we do that year-round, and so your support on jointhefoot.com really does help a lot. You can support the show for $1 a month, and I think we did the math on that, and that equates to like a nickel a show.
Yep.
Or less. It might be less the amount of shows we're doing.
I'm going to go down to the Nickelodeon, and I'm going to catch the latest episode.
There you go.
Of the fantasy football.
A nickel.
Yeah, see?
See, and you get that type of thing. You can support that type of comedy from Oily Beard. Well, isn't that what the
Oily beard.
Isn't that what the guy called you on that review?
Greasy.
Greasy beard. That's what he called you.
And that is
So we read reviews, right?
greasy beard.
And occasionally, we don't get every review in the world is a good review.
I'll grease your beard.
Occasionally, a guy says something like this, which was keep the greasy beard guy from contributing on everything, or something like that. And we enjoy those. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, about a nickel a show is all it takes to support the show for the season. If you want to do $1 a month, so we really appreciate the help on there. There's exclusive content. We are on there answering questions and priority questions on the wall and everything. So it's a lot of fun. We appreciate it.
And there's goals where fun
I
things
thought you said
happen.
gold, because that would be sweet.
There's also gold in
You could
them
find
there.
some gold bullion.
We're very close to another goal of which would make us hit up Twitter for 3 straight hours, I think.
Yeah,
is
another
what it is.
Twitter Blitz is coming up here soon. So it's been a very fun year. We got Week 10 coming up, and we will be back with my favorite 2 shows of the week. I always say it. But the starts of the week are coming tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And thank you for listening very much. And
Thank you for listening very much.
yeah, I was trying to find the button. That was a little...
But still, we really like it when people
Jason's
listen
like,
a lot.
Jason's like, no, that is perfect grammar.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.